Hey everyone, this is Scott here with the Dunlending Warcry. Just making a follow-up video regarding some of the events that I've been to over January, and then also talking about some February events that I'm going to be attending, along with some general stuff with our neighbors in Canada. I've got Jonathan here with me, one of the OSBGL players, and one of the people that's running for their new admin position. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff. So,
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your history with the game and all that.
Sure, yeah. I first started playing this game a long time ago, back when they were first releasing the game at around the same time as the movies. Um, and I got the pleasure of painting up a store display when I was still working at Games Workshop back then for Theoden King, and I got hooked on this game back then. I had to step away from wargaming for a long time after that, though, and only just got back into wargaming a couple of years ago. Uh, Found out that this game was still a thing, and I had actually gotten quite obsessed with learning a bunch of new systems. So I learned BattleTech, I learned Bolt Action, I learned this game, I learned Kill Team, and I've quickly settled on this being one of the better games. And started going out to Ontario Strategy Battle Game League events. Recently discovered the broader community with the Valar League in the TTS league that's run there. And I've just really been enjoying interacting with the broader community. I met Scott that way. And Scott originally, as if you've been watching this, you know that Scott was originally out in California, but now that he's out here in Michigan, he's been coming out to our events, and it's been great. I've been enjoying seeing the sort of level of competition rise because Scott has arrived on the scene, and it's been really really fun to watch that drama.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Beating people up with the hobos. I get more victims.
Yeah,
Give people some nightmares as they just swarm over the hills. And it's even funnier when they see the list and they don't see more than a few Krebine. They're like, "Oh, this is nothing," and then I just trap them and beat them down.
they don't know what's coming.
No, but yeah, with that, so he mentioned I was at an event in Ontario a few weeks ago. Um, we drove up together because he's right across the border, so it was a natural carpool. And then we picked up some others along the way, or one other along the way, and then we made our way up there, and it was real fun. I was on no sleep because I can't sleep before events when I have to drive more than like 2 hours. I just don't
No,
do it.
can I just jump in here? This guy messages me on Discord at like 2 in the morning, being like, "Look, I couldn't sleep, so I just crossed the border. I'm just hanging out in a parking lot at the Tim Hortons and in my tiny little town." I'm like, "Yeah, only he can get away with that."
It had Wi-Fi because I burned through all my data downloading the Lord of the Rings movies because I forgot to do it. And then we didn't. Well, I mean, we watched one on the way back, but we didn't even watch one on the way there. I don't think because we
No,
were just
yeah.
talking Middle Earth the whole way. But yeah, it was real fun. But at least this time, my lack of sleep wasn't because I didn't paint, which is always my normal thing. And as people could see, is I've got a picture of models and a paintbrush, which for me is just foreign. Um, I actually painted a full army for this. Like I
See,
had them half done, but
there was extra tournament points granted for having fully painted and based armies, and if you know Scott, you know that he's got to win, so he can't
yeah,
let that tournament point go.
there's two ways to get me to paint. You say there is a tournament point as part of it, or you can't play if you don't paint. I'll paint then. It's just if you don't make it like a reward or a punishment, I won't do it. I can't bring myself to. It's just
I I'm the same. I'm the local league Lord of Gray. Everyone
well,
looks down on me for it, but I don't care.
I at least don't have that. Everyone's primed black, so I just keep saying they're fighting at night, and like it's thematic. I mean, it doesn't work when I had them based from last February. Most of the models, so like the base was all done, and just none of the rest of the model. So unfortunately, the lighting thing didn't fool anybody. But
Well,
yeah,
as they say on Council of the North, they tell you to paint your models, and you painted your models.
that's right. I rose to the challenge. But yeah, you can see I've got a few pictures of my progress as I did it. I had done some in late or what was it, after Thanksgiving, because I was flown out to Michigan. I was staying house sitting for my dad while he was on a trip. So I had painted some. It was really funny going through TSA with all my paint pots and my tools, and they looked at me like, "What the heck is this guy doing?" But I did do some of them. So namely the Wildman Chiefs were basically done, and most of the Flaming Brands. But I had not done any of the bows or the spears, which is the biggest part of the list. So I really just ran through, got some paint on there. Oh, I can't quickly close these out as I go through. That's annoying. Just assembly line back and forth. I still have the paint over here. That's the worst part is I didn't even put it away. It's been sitting there for a month now. But I just did some back and forth assembly line through it. Um, then I finished off by making them the wrong hair color because I don't know why. Um, I'm eventually going to darken up the hair, so it's kind of a dirty blondish mix. So rather than them looking like they're Rohan, they will be Dunland if the rags don't give it away. And then this was the finished army. I even got some colors on my chieftains, which we'll see a little bit of more of a close up later. But there's a lot of hobos. 52 models at 500 points is pretty disgusting. And it did some work. But I only had one bird, so like, who can complain about that?
It's the honorable amount of Crebain, as they like to say
That's
in
right.
my province.
Um, so what did you take to the event, Jonathan?
I took Birder's Horde. I took one hill troll in Birder's list and just orc bodies. So if I remember correctly, my model count is 53 in that list.
53.
Doing that off the top of my head, something
No,
like
it
that.
wasn't 53.
No, 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 40,
43.
40 something.
Yeah.
43. That's it. That's the number. Still a respectable model count for a 500 point list. I have been converted to the ways of the horde. I think that that's probably the most strategic way to build a list if you want to play competitively. I too was up until like the wee hours of the morning, slapping paint on like a used salesman covering up an accident. I like texted Will, um, being like, "Look, it's three colors and a base, right? Like that's the minimum here, right?" Will actually like he's such a good guy. He texted me. He was like, "Dude, you got to be up in 3 hours. Like, go to bed. It's good, you know." So as much as they like to rag and shame people, no, they're really lenient about that kind of thing. It's just that's the standard, and they tell you to stick to it. And I made it. Um,
The worst part about
I'm
my
not gonna show them
painting.
off though.
What you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. I have pictures of all your models. I'm gonna.
Oh
It's just
God,
gonna be
it's
a
ugly.
slideshow of just putting them through. Um, the worst part about my painting, which is what makes it usually really bad towards the end, is I can't do three colors. Like my mind doesn't allow me to. I see the separation of materials, and I'm just like, it has to be a different color. Like my Wildmen are like 8 different colors for a 6 point model. It's just ridiculous. Like I have to do all the separation, and that's what gives me like all the laziness with doing it. Is just I just know that I'm not good at painting, but I'm good at like color in the line. So I have to do it that way, and I have to do assembly on. I have to do a whole bunch at once. Otherwise, I just can't get it done. Like I'll talk about some of my hobbying in a bit for the Michigan event I went to, and I had to do like 15 models for it. And I realized halfway through that I miscounted and I still had more to do. And I'm sitting there looking at 2 models at the end. And I'm just like, oh no, just these 2 models having to restart the whole process was just, oh, it took me as long as the rest of them that I did.
Well, especially when you batch paint it, right?
Yeah.
If you leave two out of the batch, Jesus.
Yeah. No, it just messes the whole thing up. But
When I vibe with what you're saying about how like you just it's this like OCD like kicks in where it's like no I'm not I gotta do this right I do this right and it's always what kind of gets me and I just have to accept I don't have time I gotta go to bed.
mhm.
I've gotten to the point in my life where like staying up all night is not fun unless I have to do it, you know.
Yeah,
So
like me working yesterday up till
yeah,
4 a.m. I'm on 3 hours of sleep right now still.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was almost going to be doing it again tonight, but the I'm waiting on an email still. So, um, all right. Well, going into the games, um, I've got my patented first turn of the game shots because I can't take pictures during the game ever. But this was my first game. I was playing against Jacob Vanderwall. He was playing Iron Hills, and we had rolled to the death. So to the death, pretty simple. Bash each other over the heads. He did have the advantage early that he had a banner, but he did not have any crossbows, so it ultimately was going to be melee. And he wasn't the type to try and go hide in a corner. So we actually fought, though he did pick his battlefield very well. So basically, I set up from the start. I had a bunch of guys. I didn't need to march. He had no bows. I knew we were going to fight, so I wasn't under a lot of pressure. So I essentially just started moving up. I sent some hobos up to the right, others over here, namely responding to the dwarves who went up and posted up in between the Ammon Head ruins and the head. And then the goats kind of floated a little bit back and forth, but ended up fighting over here while Dane just booked it in. He got stuck for a little bit, but then he ran out and started really crushing some people, and it was real dicey. But then he whiffed and died. Never underestimate hobos needing 5x3s on a trapped model when there are 20 strikes coming through. So I believe I had 10 surrounding him. Um, and then while that happened, there were a couple of dwarves posted up between the tree and the statue. And then the hobos, one chief started just going ham in there, taking out guys one at a time, while a few went and fought the goats in the back. Then eventually the dominoes started falling a little bit. The goats got cleared up, and then I was able to pressure him from the back and the front at the same time. And then the dwarves really started getting cleaned up. Um, the game ended pretty solidly in my favor because I did manage to get the banner the second to last turn. And it was my second ever Freka trigger because Dane died. Freka became a 6-inch banner. Not for VPs, unfortunately, but he suddenly started doing massive value. I started winning duels left and right. And then ultimately the game ended 16-4. Um, I don't recall offhand what the points were for him. I know it was 2 points for the banner. Um, oh, he killed 2 chiefs. So I gave up some points there. I did not manage to kill his second or his Iron Hills captain. And I of course did not have a banner, so I couldn't score much more than I did. Um, but how did things go over in Birderland?
It wasn't fantastic. It's a tough matchup. So in my matchup, I went up against Ben Speak and his Bjornings. He's been playing the Bjornings pretty consistently at OSBGL events. We're playing to the death in this scenario, so I already have a difficult task because trying to get points for killing his general was not going to be easy unless Birder was able to somehow send it and win a fight. Um, and so my strategy going into it was that I was going to box in the bearers and just sort of anti-barge and like clog up the space, feed him one model at a right time to get Birder into a fight. And I did. I chose the fight, but the dice didn't work out. Birder dies, and my chances just sort of snowballed down from there. It, you know, bears are real good at killing orcs, and then I got to the break point, and I just started running, and then it all sort of collapsed from that point. It really all depended on whether Birder was going to be able to kill a bear or not, and it just didn't.
It's definitely not a fun matchup. bears into orcs, especially that don't have any reliable way to charge.
Yeah, yeah, and I was very tired too, and so I learned that I get really cranky when I'm tired. I mean, I kind of already knew that about myself, so I started getting a little bit cheesed because of bad dice rolls. You know, doing the MESBG version of a bat flip, tossing my measuring implements onto the table, and I think I upset my opponent, so I'll just say it here. You know, I apologize, Ben, if me throwing my measuring implements around upset you there.
Forgive me.
But that's who I am. I get grumpy when my dice don't turn out that way. I'm never mad at my opponent. It's always the dice. We have an inside joke. There's a curse when you go there. It hit me. Matty Lockwood gave it to me, and it's followed me forever now. You know, so it just is what it is. You know, the possession comes in. But yeah, Ben did manage to win that 114-3. What can I say? Bears are real good. They're strong, and if you can't kill them, if you can't get the trap in, and you don't get those, and he keeps rolling sixes, there's not a lot you can do. You just have to put your plan in place and hope the dice work out. That's didn't happen to me.
Reminds me of the little phrases that I use, and you've seen it in games on TTS where at a certain point when my dice are going a certain way, I just say start going like, "Oh, I automatically lose," especially on fight value. And I'm just like, I automatically lose again, naturally. It's just, and I just keep getting swept. Like those turns where you just lose every duel in a row. And I'm just like, ugh. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my god. I do the little mic flip up so no one can hear me screaming. Um,
It's
um,
the pain we choose as evil mains.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just hobos. Like, I don't think I'm evil, to be honest. Like, I'm just a displaced people. Um,
Hey, I yeah for that
but
one.
leading into game two, so the Beornings, having triumphed over you, rose to challenge me actually. So I ended up playing Ben in the second round, and we pulled Fog of War. And I really dipped below standard here and have the patented before army deployment picture because I was that bad on this game with getting a picture. Um, but it was Fog of War. It's Beornings and hobos. There's really only one way for stuff to happen. He started in this little circular area on the other side. I was basically in a line down here. I had a few guys, I believe, that started out on the outside here. But essentially, the Bears went for a charge. I played a little back and forth with moving up a little, shooting, then pulling back. I don't believe I got a single wound through. I think I got one die that even got to do its second roll. My shooting was terrible. While the Bears did that, the Beorning split into two groups, going behind these two buildings. My Fog of War choice was actually this big building on the left side. So I had actually started flying a Krebine over. 500 points, limited amount of stuff. Ultimately, I just have to move for the terrain. If I get a few bodies there, he can't really do anything about it. His terrain was actually this close building over here, for my recollection, that he tried to go for in the end, but game ended on the first roll that we'll get to. But the Bears ran forward. I just kind of kept shooting, played waiting for them. They got in really hard. I did a little bit of backup at one point. I was being a real schmuck, trying to avoid an extra turn of combat. But it meant nothing. Eventually, they charged. The hobos just started doing hobo things. We had a nice circle as the Bears were posted up back to back in the middle. I don't believe Beorn took any damage. He might have taken some fade off at one point, but Grim Beorn had a rougher time. He did actually lose one duel and got reduced to one wound, I believe. He took a whole bunch at once. It might be one wound. He might have had three still, but then a couple turns later, he did end up whiffing again and kick the bucket. And especially on Fog of War, that's the big risk with Beornings. Grim Beorn is all your points. He's 5 points of mine. He's 5 points of yours. So me getting that kill swung me up. Um, I did get broken. I didn't kill any of the Baronings, by the way. None of them died. They killed every single model that got sent over there. They almost lost. I don't think they lost a duel.
The
Um,
earnings are strong,
they were nuts. They
plus
were
he
just
has his
rolling two die
bows.
sixes. Ooh. Um, my chief that he had selected actually ended up running away. So he did not get max points for that. And I did not break him. So it ended up being a 10-6 because my chief that I had picked did stay, which was lucky because I forgot which one I picked because having so many of them, I can't remember that. Um, and it's one of those like I forgot my notepad, so I just took a screenshot. So I'm like, I'm not gonna go and touch my phone for looking at screenshots of stuff where it's like, okay, it could be argued that something's fishy going on. I'm like, I have the screenshot. All the other time is just notepad open, typing out the stuff for my heroics. Um, but yeah, it ended up going my way. Namely, on the last turn, in the first turn that it could end, it did. It was getting a little dicey. Bayorn might have gone down after that, but I wasn't counting on
Pretty
it.
lucky.
So
Pretty lucky.
it ended, and I pulled it off from that. But what on birders? Did they get to recover?
So, Burner goes up against Thorin's company in the second round, and our board was like a kind of like a ruins. You know, you had moss growing on buildings and forests. I think it's a conquest creation map. Will Shelf Fatio um, has a lot of terrain. It may have been somebody else's board. It was a very, very nice looking board as well. So whoever sculpted that terrain, I've definitely got to give him a good big props on that. I picked a terrain piece fairly central to the board on his side, but close to the center. And I chose Oin as my target. And him not knowing that, just the way that we were able to move things around, I was able to jump Oin very early on in the game. Just the way that the positioning set up, and and I was able to kill him. But and so riding off that high, I have a really bad habit of putting Birder in really, really bad spots when I ambush him and forgetting that heroic combat is a huge slingshot if it works. So what he did was he managed to get Thorin and I can't remember, at least three other dwarves into a
Ooh,
fight.
No, 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 no. Wait, 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 wait. Wait, 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 wait.
Wins a heroic combat, slingshots them all into Birder, and flash
ooh,
kills Birder on the turn after he ambushes out. And I'm like, ooh,
that's not too pretty.
ooh, that's not pretty. But it's Thorin's company. I have a million orcs, right? And so I'm just like, no, I can recover from this. I know what I'm supposed to do. I have my objective for the terrain piece. I killed my target. Now I just need to protect my guy and hold the line. So I just started locking them down one model at a time, locking them down one model at a time, locking them down until the timer ran out. And I was just able to beat him because I just had more bodies than he did, and he
Mhm.
never made it anywhere near his terrain piece because I just kept locking him down, and so I was able to win that match, uh, despite making huge, mainly because of how forgiving having that many bodies is when you're playing against a list like Thorin's Company. It's 9 models. Just
Yes,
check his list here real quick.
especially at these lower points, bodies just has such an impact. Like heroes are nice and might is nice, but ultimately they're limited in that they're one model and they can only be in one spot at a time. When you
That's
can
right.
throw
Eight
four
models.
orcs into one guy, even them being a hero is not that reliable.
That's right. 8 models to 42. Thorin was killing everything he touched, but eventually Keely collapses, Feely collapses, Ori goes down. Bilbo is being really annoying, but eventually goes down, and then so it just. But he still broke me, um, and was able to get a whole bunch of extra the general kill points, and so that ended up as a 13-10 victory for me. Minor victory, but I deserve that because of the way that I play Spurter. We actually had some secret objectives going on this event. One of them was called Fool of a Toke, and Kyle Vandermeulen, my opponent, he basically said, "You know what? I'm gonna give you that point." And I was like, I'll take that, because it was at opponent's discretion, and so I was glad to have gotten that objective. Wildly though, on that topic, the Fangorn player who came managed to get 8 of 9 possible objectives in the first round somehow,
Mhm.
because of the way that he managed to like set up a situation and get kills, and so no one
Mhm.
else was going to win that one. But I'm glad I got that side objective.
Yeah, on the topic of the secret objectives, because I never really touched on them, they were just a secondary scoring thing. We had other prizes for that, and it was basically themed around the fellowship, doing different things. Like I believe one was kill 10 models. One was the Legolas one was outshoot your opponent. Or sorry, it's
Kill
get
4
like
models with
get like
shooting.
yeah 4 models with 1 model and shooting. And I just took one look at all those, and I'm just like, there's no way for me to keep track of any of these. I'm not doing it. I like it would be nice, but I'm like I can't do it with 52 models. Like, oh, I need to track how many each individual guy gets for kills on shooting. I'm just like, I have 17 bows. I'm not doing that. It's not
Doing
happening.
natural sprinter, you had to
Or
get a model to touch both sides of the board edge and
yeah,
whip
and
you,
it's just like
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I can do it, but I'm not doing all of them, and it's not going to be pretty. And ultimately, it probably will result in me losing games if I try it, because the
I had
hobos are
wargs.
not. Well, I had a
Yeah, I
Krebine,
had
so like the
wargs and
hardest
stuff
one
like
is
that.
get across, but it was still going to be tough. Um, Going into third game, so this is where it really started to get pretty nasty and pretty competitive. Um,
You're top table now. Yeah.
I think I was top table going into this round. I had the VPs for it. This one was scored VPs over differential, so I think I had it at this point. It did start to swing, as we'll see, but I was still able to have some solid games. My third game, I think, was definitely my hardest. Uh, I was playing against Halls, and Halls at 500 is pretty scary with Legolas, Thranduil's possible heroics, especially against D3s that go down on Forest to the shooting or can be just murdered by Thranduil. It got pretty sketchy for a bit. I did manage to deploy as a group. I think I spent 3 might or 4 might total from the start, which was a lot, to arrive in 2 blocks. And then I don't recall if Legolas arrived the first turn. It might have been the second, but Thranduil arrived dead center on the other side, and he just paraded in. I ran up pretty aggressively here, but got a little bottlenecked. I could not. We fought along this line the whole time. Couldn't really get past the tower and the objective. And then this group went up and then did a little bit of a split with one group coming to help the middle, which I needed, and then the other group fighting Legolas. Um, Everybody on this side died, but they did take down a number of elves first. I did start sending some over the rocks. The Krebine tied up Legolas for a few turns, but other things were dying. It was kind of a similar story with Thranduil this game, like Dane in the first. He got boxed out for a little bit just from having to call heroics in a rougher spot. But once he made it in, he cut down a couple guys, but then he got stuck forward with no might and whiffed. But the first time I didn't kill him. I got 3 wounds. He passed 3 fate. It was a pretty rough failure to kill. But then he whiffed a second time and went down in one shot. Freka got to be a banner again. And then from there, the hobos just went crazy. So I had around the time Thranduil died, I believe I broke right before. It was all falling apart. People were starting to run. I didn't have models in the middle. I was losing the count. But then Thranduil dies. I become a banner, and oh my, it was insane. The hobos just
So
started
you're saying this is
slaughtering
your
every
third
elf.
time?
This is my
You
third
had to
ever time
convert.
Freka became a banner. Um, so he started really racking up the kills over here. Freka was punching dudes in the face too. I had everything going in, because I was going to lose. Legolas, I don't think ever lost a duel. He was just going crazy on the side. This whole left side got cleared. There was no one left. Everyone at the end for me was in the middle. And then I think I did end up doubling because I had some brands still. And then I of course was very, very broken. So it did end up with a solid 14-3 though. But it swung in the last two turns. It was not going my way for a while. And that's the danger of halls at these points levels. They can just cut you down.
So killy. So killy. Yeah.
Then that was my game. I heard yours
Actually
is
funny. The
fun.
first time Yeah, well, the first time I played against Halls of Thranduil was against Matty Lockwood at Lindsay, and he had Thranduil on an elk, and I was playing depths. And he just kind of managed to lock me out and just kill goblins, and it was. Every time I see someone playing Halls of Thranduil, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a tough matchup. So
They're
it
a
didn't
really
take.
solid list.
Yeah, and he was one of our car mates, Brian. There,
Hmm.
really good guy.
I mean, I warned him if I didn't win, we weren't making it back. So he got the message, and his elves just started dying for him just to make sure he got home.
Well, I'm grateful we ended up pretty close in the standings in the end. My third match was against Zach Fleming. Who's always a fun opponent. He was playing a Shire list that was actually a punishment because over on his podcast there, they have something called the Shame Point system where they got a hobby every week, and he's always dropping the ball on getting his hobbying done. He's a busy guy. And so they made him play a Shire list, but they were very, very nice to him, and they made him play like a really decent version of a Shire list. I kind of trash talked him a little. I was like, I probably know your rules better than you do because I've been playing the Shire in the TTS League, and so um, I was like, he's playing Farmer Maggot, and I'm like, oh yeah, so you're re-rolling your dogs because they got a banner, right? And he was like, wait, what? They Farmer Maggot's a banner. I'm like, yeah, man. These dogs are real good close to Farmer Maggot. Um, so my strategy was to use the fact that I can outmarch him to because it's hold ground. So and there was a terrain piece right in the middle with the objective marker right on top,
Mm.
and then a bunch of terrain arrayed around in sort of a diamond sort of shape. And the way that he maelstromed in, he was sort of all off in one corner for the most part. And so I used up might to make sure that I could get on the board in the opposite side and just march towards the center because I knew I would outrun him. And um, while I was doing that, I started blocking out lanes that would make it difficult for him to get within 6 inches of the middle. Uh, and and so I just kind of kept flowing bodies around both sides of where the building was. I ambushed into the corner, and there was some controversy. It was mentioned, that perhaps that may not have been the best strategic move to ambush the corner, but it worked because I tied down Gandalf and a big chunk of his Tookish hunters and sheriffs in the corner where we just sort of started fighting all game long, and it kept him so busy that I was able to kill enough hobbits that moved into the 6 inch circle around the middle with my orcs because militia have terrible fight value, so I'm actually winning when we tie, which is a foreign feeling for me as someone who plays evil mains. And I was able to get all my bodies into the center, keep my focus on the objective. I was not killing as many hobbits as I thought I would. It's my one chance to wound things on fours, and I was not wounding things, and it was getting a little frustrating. But uh, because I had that movement advantage, and because he couldn't break my line, I was able to win that one 12-2 because I just tripled him out in the middle at the banner, and I think I jumped Rosie. So no, 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 I didn't get Rosie. That's why he has points because he kept his banner alive.
Mm.
But like Gandalf on card is great until you hurl something at him or that kind of a thing, and then he's just kind of gets shut down, right? So
Yeah, no, he definitely that. I mean, I've always said that that's his weakness. If someone can knock him off that cart, um, it falls apart rather quickly. He needs it in that list, or he won't get value. Um, but that takes us into the last game. So I had known I needed to do some serious work in the last one, because another person that was closely competing with me for the win was Steve Stokes, who managed a 20-0 against Rivendell in Hold Ground. So he had jumped me leading into the last one. So I knew that I needed to score some real VPs, and in a way I got saved, but it was still gonna be hard. However, I rolled pretty crazy. Um, my last game was Seize the Prizes, which is less than ideal for the really dumb hobos. All of them being intelligence 8, the Chiefs being 7. That's not ideal when I need to dig up 3 objectives.
I hate intelligence test missions as an evil main. I hate them so much.
My opponent was playing Kingdom of Rohan. So this was a day of hatred, and it did matter. Going to me rolling pretty crazy on heroics, especially, really got me this win more than anything. My opponent had less bows than me, but of course, his archers are D5 on their horses, so it's a lot harder for me to take them down. On the initial, so I had more bows on this left side, so they started going up a little bit slow, while the right side started peeling the bows off this way, and then the rest of the gang started running up. I believe I marched on the first turn. I can't recall. No, I didn't. I walked up just in front of the building. I was looking to get cover from all the bows. He moved up half with a bunch in order to take shots at me. I don't think I took any wounds early on. Our shooting was fairly ineffective. My guys especially just didn't really do anything. I believe at a certain point I killed 2 horses and a guy, and that's all my shooting did the entire day. That's it. I killed 2 horses and a royal guard who lost his horse, I believe. That's it. The bows don't exist for me. But after he started moving up this way, and then some swung around on this side, because on the following turn I actually marched up and then grabbed an objective with one of my chiefs that's hidden behind this rock. So it forced him to need to. He got a lineup after that, and it was going to force him to engage. The rest of the gang over here actually started inhabiting our new home in this building. It was the Library of Ancient Knowledge, apparently, because I passed every intelligence test. One hobo grabbed over here the next turn, first try, and then they just booked it and ran off the board. There was nothing he could do to stop me.
I wish your hobos had taught my orcs in school because that's not how my game went down at all.
No, this was the Library of Knowledge. I had set up to help this chief a nice line over here, and then these guys started really pushing up. He engaged me the following turn after winning priority. locked down everybody, including the chief, he was able to get into. But I pulled a really crazy power move. So as he was running up this way, and I had a gang here, and AMR actually engaged with a few guys on this, like a block of guys. Fricka was all the way over here, but I had a chief hiding in the building. And I actually did a heroic march laterally and ran this way, and then slingshotted Freka all the way over here so that his fight bubble covered a bunch of fights. So all these guys on the corner of the flank suddenly bumped up to fight forward to match his charge, which got a whole lot of Rohan killed. I think I won a few ties, and then they started cutting guys down, and that first turn was pretty nasty. AMR heroic combated and did kill a few guys, but Theodred on the other end, I believe he didn't heroic combat because he could only get one. But then it went into move off territory, and I won all of them. And then things just started getting surrounded. I started tossing out heroic combats like it was candy, because I was wounding guys on 4s with all of mine, which is just a horrifying feeling for your cavalry to have 2 guys up front and 2 supports wounding you on 4s. You're just dead if you lose the duel. Especially when I'm charging 4 dice on 1. They started melting. Freka at one point heroic combated to steal an objective that a Royal Guard had pulled, and then ran away. And then I just started running Freka and a chief this way. AMR was the last man standing. He started making his way, weaving through, and then he made his final stand over here against 12 guys. And then he did lose the duel and took about 9 wounds because I only needed 4s to wound. It is hatred and the +1 against heroes. It was a bad combo, and then so that actually ended the game on sudden death. So Freka and my chief couldn't get off, so I lost myself a couple points. I could have waited on AMR and played that game of like, okay, I can get 2 more VPs, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do this. It's not. I didn't think that was a necessary thing to do to my opponent Ray, who was very cool. It was a frustrating game for him, being that I won those heroic move offs, but he played it well with what cards he was dealt. Especially looking for AMR to sneak away. He still had a might in the end. He was looking to sneak away and grab the chief or Freka. If he managed to take those 2 out and actually grab those objectives, actually he could just start running to the other side of the battlefield. I don't think I could stop AMR at that point. He's too fast. But it ended up being a solid win for me, and I took it with a 16-0. Kept short by those 2 points in the banner points. 3 scenarios with banner points for the day. Lost me some points, unfortunately. But yeah, no, it was a solid way to end the day.
Well, we're going to talk about this later, but Ray's one of those guys who, he's from a smaller town, a little bit farther away from where all of the usual OSBGL event hubs are, and he's just been grinding, coming out, trying to make connections, and we'll talk about Aylmer's, coming up, but he's one of the reasons we have the venue that we do, So I just want to give him a big shout out here because he just stepped up, and like that's what the community needs. We just need people to step up, run events, find venues,
Yeah, and we spent a bunch of time after the game talking about some different variations of Rohan lists that he can play, and even some other general lists like Minas Morgul. And I was talking to him yesterday even about the upcoming event that we're both going to be at, about what list to take. He's really cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So how did Birder end on this fateful day?
So my usual, I'm actually I'm very much a mid player, and so I went up against John Young, who he's a bit of a wonderkin in our league.
It's my
Showed up
teammate.
one day, yeah, and I mean he just showed up one day, started winning game tournaments. People were like, "Who's this John Young guy?" Right? And so he's last season he was playing a lot of Gondor, Reclamation of Osgiliath, Men of the West, and that kind of thing. But he's very, very tactically sound. He can sort of see where the approaches are, where to go. So what he's been working on is Minas Morgul. We actually ran a ton of practice games together leading up to this event. And so his list was Witch King, Sea on a Fell Beast, and bodies. Just orcs. No other toys. You just have Witch King on his Fell Beast, and then you have a ton of orcs. I have, Burner's Horde doing the same thing on the other side. And so it's mostly just like a race between, dumb orcs and their terrible intelligence, trying to dig up these artifacts, being like, is this rock an artifact? Is this rock an artifact? Which is what ended up happening to me for a good 3 turns. Where he picks up his things right away because I guess his guys are so scared of the Witch King that they're not going to mess that mission up. But nobody's scared of Burner. They're just like, oh, but is this an artifact? Is this an artifact? 3 turns of failed intelligence tests. So I'm just bogged down
I
on my
brought you
end.
gold, my lord. What is that piece of shit?
Burner's like, I guess that's a pretty rock, right? Like,
It's not even a rock.
and-
It's petrified crap.
So my mom and dad went on vacation to Mammoth Cave, Kentucky, and my dad found a big rock. What he thought was a big rock, turns out it was a dinosaur turd. A petrified dinosaur turd, 27-pounder.
Yeah, I just bogged down on my side of the board trying to pass intelligence tests, trying to pick up things. And so that gives him the opportunity to shove his line up against mine and just like push me up against a wall. And then it turns into, what when a horde meets a horde, you just draw your lines and you roll your dice. And I was having just at least it felt like I was having the worst luck that day. I certainly have to acknowledge that I probably was making big tactical errors. And what I love about this game in particular is that when you make mistakes, your bad luck will kick in and compound those mistakes. And so it just feels extra bad because you have no one to blame for it but yourself. You're like, yeah, but I wouldn't be in this situation if I'd made a smarter decision over there, like, and so it's kind of what I really love about this game. And so, John definitely outplayed me. Took advantage of the fact that he had that 12-inch fly to start like sniping out different things. Hunted down when I finally did dig up the artifacts. He just like hunted them down with the Witch King. He just picked them off, and it just turned into a situation where it was sort of like a no-win scenario for me because I was not able to get into position to chase down his Witch King or to kill things that in a way that I could grab objectives away from him. And so it just got away from me. He had way too many objectives over me, and our final score in the end ended up being 4-10. I got my points because is this scenario where you get points for killing heroes?
No, not in this one. It's banner points, break leader, and the objectives.
Yeah, it was banner points. I got points for having a banner still alive at the game and for having one in my possession. But we weren't able to get any off the board because we just got stuck and slogged out in the middle. And I was at a huge disadvantage because I couldn't dig my things up. And like Minas Morgul and Fellbeast in the hands of a really skilled like tactician who can see the lines and how to hunt things down is very deadly. It's really, really effective.
If only the Witch King could cast still. With the lack of reroll. It's always disappointed me, this edition.
Well, John Young constantly comments on the fact that his spellcasting just doesn't work, so it doesn't matter to him. He just uses it as like a surgical knife.
That's the best part about my casting is I'll roll 1 and 1 free with Saruman, and I'll roll a 6 and I'll roll a 1. That's the combo every time. It always works out perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
But with that, let me pull up the standings quickly. So unfortunately, I ended up in second. I got jumped by some high scoring games in the end. But I did go undefeated with the Hobos. My premiere at the OSBGL was a solid start. And then all the way down here in the middle of nowhere, we got Jonathan coming in
Number 21.
21st.
That's usually where I end up. I wasn't lying when I said I'm a mid player. That's almost always where I end.
I want to shout out my 2 teammates that were here with me because I am on the I'm on Grima's Greasy gang is our OSBGL team. I do have Jonathan Young. He's with me. He came down in 10th, and then Josh Heron down in 15th. I think you had a couple teammates that were here also.
Oh, you know what? Yes, let's shout out my teammates. Actually, they did really well. Number 5th, James Marth with Return of the King, who's also going to be hosting Marths of the Dead. Managed to go 3-1 with Return of the King for a 5th place score. And then we had at 16th Brent Goldrick. He was the one who lost to Steve Stokes 20-0, but he 20-0'd the Iron Hills in round 2 and got 17-7 against Shadows of Angmar in round 1, and then lost to James in the final round. And so it was
Friendly fire.
Our team is actually
Everyone, stop firing! We're shooting at our own men!
Our team's called the Wooden Spoons, and I think we're actually second in the league, so it's an ironic team name now.
All right. So that wraps up that event. It was really fun. It was great to the first OSBGL event that I'm at. We hit 40 people. That's pretty crazy to start. Got some good games that were pretty decently competitive. It's really a good way to start the run. That nice 4-0 undefeated.
And it's one of the first events where we finally had like a proper after event social where we got together, had dinner together, and that kind of thing. Because, one of the things about this league is it isn't that hyper competitive. It is mostly just a bunch of guys looking to get together and have some fun. When you look at our lists, we didn't have Eagles at any of our events for the longest time because people were just playing what they wanted to play, playing to have fun. And so, I like that about our league, that it's very socially focused. Mostly it's people looking to have fun. But when you check the top table, people at top table, those are our good players. Those are our people who come to be, a little sweaty, but everyone's a great sport. Everyone's always a blast to play against. It's a good time.
All right. So after that, I'm going to quickly touch on some of an event that I went to last weekend over in Michigan. Let me pull back up my pictures.
I was going to be
there. Yeah, you were going to be there.
And was it Chuck? Chuck's
yep.
the organizer?
Yep, Chuck set up.
He was a dream about it. I don't want to get into anything else about it, but I reached out to him ahead of time just to let him know that I might have trouble trying to cross the border, and if things started getting worse, I was going to maybe have to cancel. And to his credit, he really I appreciated the fact that he acknowledged that it was pretty screwed up that we even have to have this conversation. And he was really, really nice about it when I said that I needed a refund because I didn't feel like I could cross the border. And I appreciate that group so much.
Yeah, no, the Michigan gang is so cool. I had talked to a whole lot of them between that I was in their Discord for a while, and although it never materialized, I had always mentioned them how, hey, I occasionally come to Detroit. I'd love to catch a game if I happen to be around at the time. And then, of course, now that I'm here, I'm interacting with them on the daily. We have a nice Wordle streak going on in in their Discord. I got screwed twice by some pure BS words. I don't understand who at Wordle decided to do multiple of the same letter in the same word when it's only 5 letters long, but that's just insanity. It's just so hard to guess those. I get screwed every time.
It's a great crowd because they go all the way from Kalamazoo to
Mhm.
Grand Rapids to Lansing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like I was really looking forward to getting to hang out with this crew, and I hope that thing settled down because I'm not gonna be moving out of here anytime soon. So I look forward to being able to play with toy soldiers.
yeah. The first event of the year hitting 20 people is really awesome, especially on the back of there's been some crazy weather. I mean, I apparently brought the snow with me because it snowed like 10 or 11 times in the last month that I've been here.
This is not normal. I like
It's a lot of
before you
snow.
moved here. I told you, it doesn't usually snow
Yeah.
around here, and then and then they got me to lie.
It's been in
Right?
all of January has been snow. I have avoided snow for the last 5 years being in LA, or it's almost 6 years that I was there. I had gone back to New York a couple times, and I was in Detroit a couple times, but there was basically nothing. And now I'm out here, and it's been every single day. um, but
Yeah.
the nice thing though is, even though I don't go outside to begin with, it's been getting me to hobby. So I did more stuff. So my pictures are really unfocused because my camera really likes my bases, apparently. It just doesn't like the model. So it's got that beautiful picture of the base and just nothing else is focused, which is good because you can't see all the mistakes I made. But for the Great Lakes Hobbit League, that's the Michigan, and then I believe it also has some of the Northern Indiana people. It's they have both their event scoring, and then also they have the artisan awards. So every month their event has a different theme of what you want to bring to get judged on painted. So it's not just best painted army or best painted model. It can vary and be hyper specific, as I'll touch on in a little bit about their next one that I have to do a lot of work for. In my case, I was bringing hobos. I don't want to play white hand. It was 650 points, and white hand can work there. I didn't want to, so I touched on it in the last video when I went over all the lists. I just built hobos, but what I did is I made an extra special chieftain. You'll see a comparison in a second, but I made him a little bit different with his arm raised, and I actually went a lot further on detail. As you can see with some of the colors, I actually started painting some of the wrappings on the bracers and all that. I did a little more detailed when it came to the facial hair and all that. I went a lot further. It actually inspired me to update some of my other ones, but initially I was just doing the base and the swords colored, but I actually started doing the sash, which actually looks really cool. But as I can go around, you can actually see the sash running down and flowing out is all colored as well now. Again, it loves looking at my base, just not the model. But I have a better picture in a second. But you can see compared to the normal chief, the colors are a little more vibrant and clear. And then also, of course, the different arm postures. And I actually highlighted the different strappings and all that. Now, unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's a hobo. So it's not flashy. So I didn't do too well in the Artisan Awards for this one. I actually came in last. But that's because when you see on the next picture, when I have a light around it, you can see I missed so much. I thought I was being so slick with it. And then I look and there's black openings everywhere. There's runoff there. And I'm like, what did I do? It was not, I thought this was my masterpiece. It was not. I just didn't look close enough. I took like 6 hours to build the actual model. I was really careful with it. Like, again, I was using plastic glue and everything, and like drying the appropriate amount of time and all that. And I spent all this time painting, and I missed so much. It was really funny. But the actual the winner of that award was a Boromir. I don't have a picture of it, but it was a very well painted Boromir.
Like white, reclamation board
Yep,
mirror,
with the banner. You can see, oh my god, even the back of the sword is missing green. I miss so much. This is why I don't paint.
I
Um,
don't even display my armies when it's
yeah.
like, all right, everyone display your armies. I'm like,
Oh yeah, I
no,
normally don't.
no one wants to see this.
I always tell people if anyone votes for me for best painted, they need their eyes checked and they probably need psychiatric help. It's just I also started I'm trying to I have a bunch of plastic on my side. My mat is over here in front of my other screen. So all these piles are basically still there. But I'm starting to build the rest of my hobos and just I need to get them done. I hit a new level of just mental anguish when I built these ones.
No, I'm ashamed.
I have 2
You have
shield
like
guys
what,
and 2 shield, and
170 already?
I have 7 boxes of hobos total. I have 144 of them built. I built some shields and I built some shield and brands just to round out points. I don't know why I built the shield ones actually. There'd never be an occasion where I take them. Like I would just take a spear instead or a flaming brand. So I don't know why I built these, but I did. But I have a few of those. I built a whole bunch more 2-handers, and then I had a few more flaming brands. I needed everything to be even, so it's got to be like even 5s and all that, and a few of the known roundings. So I only have 4 1-hand guys because that's all I'd ever need. But yeah, I did a lot of hobbying for a change. I also painted about 15 or 16 models while I did this. I didn't take pictures of those. Just more a scheme of the same ones. But I did this in advance, like a week before the event, which was insane for me. I didn't do it the day before.
It's funny. I was actually doing hobbying for an event on that same day, literally the night before. I posted up to the OSBGL Discord at around 7:30 in the evening, saying with like a bunch of primed models, being like, "All right, here we go." The TO of the event is Andrew Barbizan. He commented saying, "Dude, I hope you don't need any of those for tomorrow's event." I'm like, "I need all of them for tomorrow's event." And I just like, all right, here we go, slap 3, pick colors, let's go. And then my pipes froze the next morning, and I couldn't go. So
Yeah, that's not great.
yeah,
But now going into the event, I had a fun day. My starting board, super thematic. The Ring of Isengard, an Orthanc, yeah,
very nice.
and it was so thematic that I actually ended up facing Ravenhill, which scared the shit out of me.
Oh, that's funny.
Ravenhill, I still have nightmares against. So we started. It had this outer ring. I could see the ring being annoying for some of the scenarios, but for this one, it was actually crazy perfect. Divide and conquer, start and crossed. You have the gaps to get in. We didn't play these as difficult terrain, the ruined areas to get in. We just said it's just we're gonna do the same thing, just slower. So let's just go through. But some of the other areas didn't matter, but we played as impassable, like this pit area underneath the bridge. We weren't going under. It didn't matter. We were never over there to begin with. In this game, I do have some pictures, so I don't have to annotate as much. But essentially, we ran in, we ran in, we ran in, and then there was just a big cluster in the middle. Now, what's funny is no, divide and conquer. So we had the 2 outer objectives and the center one that was inside. So he actually beat me inside off a priority. I think I gave it to him, but I didn't call a move. And I'm not sure why I did that. I should have just gone in. I think I was a little too cautious about the speed at which he was killing stuff. But it didn't end up mattering. He was killing stuff regardless. But I had Legolas surrounded by so many, and then I lost the duel. Legolas lost no duels the whole time. Not once. He was trapped every turn. I held the outside over here. I just had some guys loitering around. And then the rest just kind of encircled the hole. Now the fun part is we started fighting in there. So you can see Toriel fighting inside there. And there's just dudes everywhere. And then we learned 2 rounds later, or 3 rounds later, this top comes off. So we played about half the game not knowing that it separates. So we're all like, we're in there like with our fingers and like moving models out of the
Like
way to get through
shoving
it.
models, like
And then we make an offhand comment about, oh my god, this is a rough piece. Like I don't know about this for this. They just say, you can remove that. We're sitting there like, we talked about asking and we never did, and then it ends up like this. But oh my god. But as the game progressed, he got in there. He was posted up. You could see Thorin on one. The twins were taking up different spots during this, and Tariel just here the whole time. Dwalin was posted up outside, murdering everything. And then it just continued like that. I squeezed some guys in. I left it up to my opponent. He did allow birds to fly through the openings. He felt it was reasonable, so they snuck in at some points, but then died. Everyone was just dying left and right. In the end, he had lost 2 duels the entire game. One of them resulted in Thorin losing a fate, but he passed it. And then I don't remember what the other one was, but it didn't mean anything. I killed nothing. I wounded nothing. But Legolas made his way. He actually left this outer objective, which we agreed he should have probably just stayed there and camped out and just rolled for the rest of the game with his 3 attacks. But he moved to the middle, so he had all of his models in the middle. But the problem was the objective allowed me to stand in these outer areas and still count. It's 3 inches, so I was just posted up around the entire bit. So I still had the advantage by a few models to hold that, and then of course I got the outsides because he ran to the middle. So I broke. Freka chilled out on the outside. He did start fighting with one of the brothers in the end, but it ended up not resulting in any wounds, and then it ended. So we went to time. I had lost so many models. I was on track to potentially. I don't remember what divide ends on, but it wasn't pretty for me. I was on track for people to just start running left and right. I know I lost a chief to running. One chief had to spend all of his resources to stay. Freka had to spend all of his resources to stay. It was not pretty. But it ended, and I need to check because I don't remember the score offhand, but I've got it up. Of course, the page refreshed, and Longshanks has been really, really slow recently.
It's been pretty slow recently, yeah.
So I was playing against Keith Minbiole, I think that's how you say his last name, and ended up 11-5. So it was a good start to the day. Then the second game went into Seize the Prizes, so I got to play that again, similarly with hobos. And then I was up against Shadowcat 6. I believe his name is Justin offhand. I wrote it down. I'm really bad with names, so I wrote down his actual name, and I believe it's Justin. It's on my piece of paper somewhere. He was playing Minas Morgul with a troll, and he was the one with a bunch of Moradins and a warg shaman. The Moradins were solid if I didn't roll pretty crazy on the first engagement. So I started the terrain wasn't great for my start for my normal block stuff, but I started with one gang on the side who just slowly moved up. Then they eventually just started sprinting this way. And then this group moved up. I sent a few guys around the back, if I can show that, up to that objective. The birds just started flanking. We got to see the funniest movement ever. You can see that there's a nice gap in this line here. And there's a guy all the way over there. How did he get there? I marched this turn, and then he got spectered. And he ran all the way up there and joined the other team. So he is a traitor.
Traitor!
He subsequently got obliterated the next turn by like 8 guys. It was not good for him. But in the end, this actually, like my other Seas game, this ended in tabling. The Moradins started falling a little bit, and then the Orcs couldn't quite keep up with my Fight 4. Freka got a lot of value of Fight 4 here. And then in the end, the Witch King did lose a duel and just got smacked. He just got ran through by a whole bunch of guys needing 5x3s. And I think I had a chief in there needing 5s. It was pretty nasty. And then ultimately one guy ended up going behind the building, running this way. And then I wasn't gonna be like my other game. I wasn't gonna be a schmuck and just leave him and go run off the board. I charged him and killed him. The troll unfortunately ran away. He was hanging out in here because another thing I forgot to mention was there were secret objectives for this one. His objective in this game was hold a building, and you had to have 3 models. So the troll was using his dominant to hold it, but then the troll ran. I think mine in this game was to kill more with shooting than my opponent. He had 3 bows, but I got 1 kill early, and then there was no more killing with shooting the rest of the game. Everyone ran in. So I scored a secret objective from this, which was worth a tournament point, which added up throughout the day. So this one ended up with a solid 16-0, which led me into my third game, which was hold ground against Return of the King. My secret objective in this one that I pulled was, I can't remember it. I know I scored it. I don't remember what it was. But essentially, she rolled pretty rough. Legolas and the King of the Dead ended up over here, and Aragorn ended up rolling a 2, and then, or no, Aragorn rolled a 3. Yeah, Aragorn's dice was bad. She could have spent a might to bring him on the other side, but didn't. So he ended up on the other side here. I spent a ton of might. I want to say I spent 6 might. I think I spent 6. It was bad.
I think in Maelstrom, it's just a mistake to not burn your mic.
Yeah.
Properly. It's just a mistake, I think.
Aragorn spending 2 out of the story would have been bad, because then he would have been stuck with the other guys on the other side, but then I would have been able to just walk to the middle. So Aragorn, then using his might pretty reasonably, I'd say, ran up this way, and then I fought a little bit, failed some terror tests, and then she had him pull up this way and just start kind of camping around the rock, as my guys had to slowly go around or through the difficult terrain, all the ghosts just being able to run, and these guys trying to keep up while taking tests. It was a little rough. On the other side, that I do have a picture of somewhat, if it wants to pull up, Legolas and the King ran forward. I came in and set up a line behind. Freka's actually off to the side here. I tried to shoot, did nothing, naturally. The birds flew over to the other side to actually trap that half in. The King went over and killed both birds, just one-shotting them with his special rule.
With the Morgul blade.
So it killed the birds, and then they started peeling out towards the middle. But I had too many models. So while she was able to get Legolas and the King this way, and then Aragorn pulled back with the banner into the middle, it being a 6-inch objective, I just encircled it. And while I failed a lot of courage tests to charge the King of the Dead, my guys started beating up stuff, and eventually they got broken. And then I don't think I broke in this game, and then it ended. I do remember what my secret was, which was actually to keep my lowest scoring hero alive, or lowest point hero, which was just one of the chiefs. So I actually picked Yellow, who's somewhere over here. I think he's this one. So he just kind of floated around, went back and forth for a little while, just hiding. I think she had picked to hold the middle, but I held the middle. It was a rough one to pick against me. It was going to be, does Aragorn kill everything? Which is possible. I mean, this list has the benefit of Legolas and Aragorn floating around. They can cut down every hobo in my list.
That's right.
I just got pretty decently lucky that my courage tests to charge were pretty solid. I was doing 4-on-1s on some of the ghosts, and they started dying a little bit at a time. I spent a lot of might to kill ghosts over here. I spent, I think, all 3 Freka's might to kill ghosts. And then heroic moves over here to keep them locked in. It was a pretty tough game in terms of dice for both of us. I think we both rolled pretty badly. But me having bodies was just better. But I ended up with a solid 16-2 because no one had banners. So, she had a banner left. I did not. So I didn't get to score that. I did triple the middle, and then Aragorn took a wound but did not die. Though we realized after the fact that Aragorn is D5, so I would have killed him, I think. But I thought he was D6. So Jane, who I played against, she messaged me after saying, "Yeah, he's D5. I don't think we realized that." I'm just sitting here like, "Oh no, could have been my 2 points."
Yeah, you could have gotten more. Yeah,
but it was a fun game. We got to beat each other up. Quite a few hobos died, but not enough to break me. Aragorn was going crazy, just beating things up. He killed a lot.
He just munches, man. Like I realized with Aragorn is scary. You just gotta like bubble wrap things like that, right? Like
Yeah. But this led me into the last game of the day, and there was none other than the 80 goblin list is what I had to play next.
oh, goblin spam.
In breakthrough. So this was our
Yeah.
starting
Oh
setup.
man.
We had the largest model count possible of the whole event. By the time the game ended, we still had more models on the table than I think every other matchup had started with. Because there's just so many models. So I was playing against Dan. He's one of the best people in the Great Lakes Hobby League. I think he came in second last year in their league. He's a really solid player. This game, I think, in a lot of ways, and I think, I know in a lot of ways, got carried. He did not roll great. He was losing a lot of duels on 2s, 3s. I was not even rolling that many 6s. I did win a lot of fights on fight value, but it was more his banners were just not, his banner wasn't performing. So he had a solid line, and he had this really nasty gun line over here just to start peppering this way. And then he had a spot to trade shots with me over here. This was a bloodbath. So I won the first. I won a lot of priorities this game, actually. I'll say I think I won almost all of them. Now, with the armies that we're playing, I don't think it mattered that much. He was heroic moving a lot. I wasn't responding. So ultimately, he was spending might on his captains that weren't going to fight anyway. Over here, this glorious bastard, the Red Chieftain, he charged here and then proceeded with this group over here for the remainder of the game to obliterate every goblin in this area. They won every fight almost. They killed everybody. I think he killed easily 10 guys on his own. Like it was a lot. And then this cleaned up this area, which allowed me to score this objective uncontested. Over on the other side, I was never running through this tent. I knew I wasn't. There's too many guys on the other side. I wasn't gonna fight that. So we traded shots over here. He was looking for spears rather than my bows, which I think we talked about after, and he should have killed the bows just to force me to move forward. But over here, he ran in. We had a line off here that lasted the whole game. I was not dying, even needing 4s. I was winning a lot of duels. He started climbing guys over the tent and charging my chieftains, which was great. I wanted to run up top, but I didn't want to waste a turn if they didn't do anything. So eventually he ran up with a gang and we fought here as well. As this happens, this group just starts peeling into this area. Freka started hanging out by the wall, punching goblins. We had a line off here. This group fought. I did the funniest thing imaginable with the birds. At one point, a bird flew up. This is his leader, and charged 2 guys. And then he surrounded it with his leader and like 7 other guys. And then he killed it in one shot. But I had moved a bird here. And the next turn, I charged all of them with the next bird. So I tied up 8 models with another bird for
2
free.
turns.
Now he died too, but that was the funniest part is that guess what? I sent the third one up to do the exact same thing. So for the third one didn't get to do it because backaways and makeaways shifted it. But for 2 turns, I just tied up 8. It might have been 6 in the leader, and they just tied up there. And then at one point, Frecker runs up to give fight 3 to the birds. So it actually went to a tie at one point, but I lost the duel. I lost the tie. So the birds were fighting the leader for dominance in the back. But ultimately, we just beat the crap out of each other. In the end, 42 goblins died. I was up to, I think, 29 hobos. So I broke him by 1. He came just shy of breaking me. I had managed to get green off a heroic combat on the last turn to charge in range of the objective to contest it, which stripped 2 points from him. And then over here, Fracco did a heroic combat to punch goblins in order to break him. So that was the difference maker, was those heroic combats working. I was just coasting. My Chiefs were doing really well, just hanging out, preserving might, looking just to get kills and win duels. They rolled really well, and it was just consistency. And again, his banners was not doing great. Mine was doing solid, and it ended up just going my way with that. And then we also had a little side quest that I didn't get a good picture of, but there were a couple goblins that ran around this building and all the way around this tower while these guys were shooting at them. And then they ran this way and we had a brawl, and he won both of the fights on the last turn. And they survived because he was looking to flank my objective that had this little bit of cover in the back. Though ultimately, if he made it, he was going to make it. I don't think this cover meant much. I would have rathered the open area, to be honest. I didn't want to move to the other side of the table, even though I won the roll. The open area is better for the swarm. But with that, I ended up pulling ahead on the last turn. We were on track to draw, was the problem. But I pulled ahead in the last turn for an 8-4 win. So I ended up winning the event. Going 4-0.
Yeah.
I had 12 TPs from the games, and then 2 secret objectives got scored. So I was up at 14. I believe the next highest after was 13, going 3-1. He scored all 4 secret objectives. That was his big focus. But it did lose him 1 game. So it kept me above. And now I'm 4-0 in Michigan too. I'm just undefeated this year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
It was
Take the 2 league titles from the neighboring jurisdictions, right?
Nah, I just want to steal your guys. Your guys is more important.
Well, then you're going to Ohio in March too, right? So you got you got to win their events too.
I am looking to go down there too, but they don't have a league set up yet, so it's just an event. I wanna. It's just the best event for the weekend. So, but that's all my games. I think I have one more little slide in here, which is just my next hobbying stuff. Yeah. This leads into the next event that's coming up next weekend.
Yeah.
I got Urix. Oh God. Why am I playing Uruk High? I don't have enough Dunlending Warriors. So I'm slipping into being a schmuck, and I'm playing White Hand next weekend. So we're both going to an event called Marths of the Dead, ran by James. And it's gonna be fun.
Ontario.
Me.
It's gonna be at the local Legion there. So the beer is gonna be cheap. The decor also similarly cheap. It's a Legion.
Mm-hmm. I believe it's up to 13 signups as of recently. We're looking
at actually more.
Did more sign up?
Not everyone signed up on Longshanks. Last I checked or last I saw, I think we're basically at 90 points now. But
we gotta hit 16. Yeah, I know there's a couple that aren't in here. I didn't look at the Facebook today. I'm gonna end up, I think, doing a little list video at some point once they go public. I don't know when they go public. So it might be
they're due on the 1st, and I think they'll go public shortly. I can ask James. He's on my teams.
If they go public before the event, I'll do a quick video going through them. But we got a nice gang heading over there with some lists revealed, but I'm not going to look at them yet. But we got Beornings, Fangorn. This is Breaking, Rivendell, Barad-dûr, Gothmog. I'm playing White Hand because again I'm going to be a schmuck. But I have Uruk-hai, so it can't be that bad. I'm concerned about strength 3 shooting. It's always my fear. So I didn't want to play White Hand with hobo spam. But if it's not a secret, what do you bring into the event?
I'm going to be bringing Birder's Horde. I decided to build out a 3 troll version of that list with, like I said, 3 trolls, total of 40 models. 2 hill trolls are in Birder's Warband, and 1 hill troll is out on the board. I play tested this list against Dan. Darth Dan was running the Shire against me, and man, like, so the problem that I have with hill trolls, and like everyone says they're good, and I agree with them, but like I really get so frustrated by the fact that like monsters with no might are just so easy to just kill with shooting, and so when I ran in my practice match, by the time my hill trolls actually engaged with anything, they were down to 1 wound because of throw
Ooh.
stones. 1 hill troll even died to a throw stone.
Oh
And I'm
my,
like, no, why does this always happen to me?
that's
um,
horrifying.
so yeah, and so I was just like, okay, you know what? Like, this is gonna be fun, but I don't think this is a competitive build. But I did want to like try the more monstery version of the list, so that's what I'm going to be running in.
Yeah, the more I've played, because I've played a few games with Birders and also Karn Doom. I'm leaning that the hill trolls really need to be in Karn Doom. I don't think Birders really needs them. Like they can be taken, and I think they're a little solid at like low points. But I think Karn Doom is where they really shine. Being able to get fight 7 on a charge is pretty nasty.
That's the one. That's it. Getting that fight 7 on the charge is huge.
And of course, 6-inch banner coverage. That's also pretty nice.
Yeah, with good men, right? 4 strength 4 D5 men around them, spear supporting or
Well,
shielding if you give them the shield, right?
I don't know
Like,
too much about the Karn Doom guys being the drive there, but you know.
it's a little bit of extra spice, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't see in the TTS Discord earlier, I'm allergic to spice, so I was almost assassinated tonight by butter chicken.
Okay.
I took 2 bites. I still feel the burn. I can't handle spice. It's bad.
Oh man. I mean, you're talking to the wrong guy here. I'm a I have my Korean palate, so we just load it up with
Oh my.
spiciness. People are like, "Is that hot?" I'm like, "You're asking the wrong guy." Don't ask me if something is hot.
All right. So I got a couple more events to look at. I've got the if it wants to load, the Great Lakes Hobbit League February event I'm going to. So this is a really cool one. So it's 500 points, which is what we did into the wild. But the event is themed around book 1 of the Fellowship of the Ring, which is a little specific, but I'm trying to go on theme with this one. So essentially, the scenarios that they've picked is a shortcut to mushrooms as convergence, the old forest as assassination, and then flight to the ford as storm the camp. So it's themed around the Fellowship of the Ring, book 1. So pre-Rivendell, which doesn't cover a lot of things in this game. But I've used mental gymnastics and I have a thematic list. So Saruman was talked about. He didn't show up, but Gandalf talked about what was going on. That Saruman was starting to be a schmuck. And then Saruman had already brought in the Dunlendings. Like they were joining him already. Like he was riling them up. And I'm sure there were orcs and uruks, but they're not mentioned. At least my cousin ChatGPT didn't say that they were mentioned. So we know that Wildmen were there though. So my list for it is just Saruman and hobos. I don't have Grima. Grima was busy. I don't have Krebine. Krebine were not mentioned at that point. We don't know them till book 2 when the Fellowship's hanging about. So
Grima's with Rohan. At that time,
yeah,
Grima's like
so
Legion
it's
Rohan. So.
I got Saruman, the Oathmaker, and a Chief, and then a whole bunch of hobos. So we're at 42 models at 500, which is solid for Saruman. But I'm not taking any of the tools. On top of that, flying is disallowed for this event. So I wasn't taking Krebine anyway. But I also didn't take Grima. It's fun. I played one game against Khazad Doom. I only got shot a whole lot, and then managed to sneak in and storm the camp at the end. But the Artisan Award for it is going to be 4 Fellowship of the Ring Book 1 objective markers that I got to make, which I still have to think through, and then a single character from Book 1. So that's why I picked Saruman. He's mentioned. I only own Isengard bottles, so I can't do anything else if I want to do this. And I'm just going to do it all together. I'm going to do a Saruman of many colors. I'm going to try and just do a lot of really thin colored lines. Or I might do that art style where you do a lot of dots and they like build together to make color. So I'm going to see if I can recreate white with many different colors. I'm going to try. I probably will fail, but I'm going to try.
I think that if you're going to do Saruman of many colors, because I've been thinking about that, I think stippling is the way.
Yeah. But that's this event. This is going to be, when is this? On February 21st. So a couple weeks after Marth's. So I got chock full of events. And then the last event I want to touch on that's still ongoing, it's going to be finished soon, is the TTS event that's been going on. We've got one of our TOs for it here.
Yeah, I'm running it. And Scott's really taken the scene by storm with his Barad-dûr Sauron list.
Yeah, I am.
The Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring.
Look at this power stats right
Awesome
here.
stuff.
It's
Yeah.
3-0 with Barad-dûr in this. We're just cleaning house with the Dark Lord.
Well, and you're not playing slouches. Like Matty Lockwood's a good player. Daniel Denbach, with his whole, he's just been playing that list so much. He just knows how to use it.
Mm-hmm. I just got Lords of Battle and the game just didn't end quick enough. So he was ahead of me until the end when all of his models ran away as soon as he broke. It was quite interesting.
Well, this week you're against Will, which means you're up against Riders of Theoden.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, it's been a fun one. I think that we have 18 people playing, which is really cool for the first event for the gang. It's been awesome to get more games. I obviously typically play in the TTS Valar League every event, but this is another way to get more games. And of course, it's being expanded as we move on. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm opening it up to everyone in the NA. I do want to try to keep it into the NA time zone. I do love the international friends I've been playing with at the Valar League, but I don't always love having to match up a 16-hour time difference with an Australian. As much fun as it's been to play them, I did want to just create like an NA time zone environment. So anyone who's listening, you're welcome to join. I've got a server. It's called Fëanor's Workshop. The whole idea behind these events was that they were supposed to become a part of the OSBGL's sequence of events. Josh Heron, the other co-TO, joined the admin team kind of with the idea of introducing TTS to the league. It's been controversial. I'll be very honest. I don't understand the controversy. I personally think the other opinion is that TTS should just be a separate league. I hard disagree with that. Ontario is a very big province, and this is a tool that allows us to really bring Ontario together. And I think that if you're not into TTS, it's fine, right? Like I'm not going to have an opinion about that. But what I have an opinion about is people who are not into TTS telling those of us who are or who want to use it that somehow we should just be separate or go off and do our own thing. I don't appreciate that, and I'm going to say that for the whole world to hear. And it's
Mhm.
something that I want to bring together. We have people all the way from Gatineau to Barrie to Windsor. There was an event up in Sudbury. Um, these are, to put it into context, to drive from Windsor to Ottawa in Europe, if you were to do that, you'd cover 4 countries. And so, like, using TTS to bring our community together, I think is just one of the better ways to make this a truly Ontario league. And it would allow us to find our Ontario masters, and then we could try and figure out a way to send the best of Ontario to something like the Nations Cup, or to challenge the West Coast Hobbit League, who have, Richard Lynn and Baz and some of the best players in NA out over there. And we could really like connect with the global scene. So that's one of my goals here with these tournaments, is to try to, um, you know, people should have fun doing this, but also it's a great way to just find out who our best players on the continent
Mhm.
are in the middle of all of this craziness in the real world. If we can come together over a game, I think we're doing a beautiful thing.
And the way that I've always described TTS, because it's really easy to look at what's different with it compared to in person, and it is a way that people go about it, that they highlight those differences. But when you take a step back and really look at what the similarities are, it's pretty evident how powerful of a tool it can be. So it's the same list building, it's the same strategies, it's the same dice rolling, it's the same tactics.
You have to remember your rules. Like
Yeah,
the game isn't doing any of it for you. You have to
yeah,
remember it all yourself.
yeah. It's not like an actual video game where everything is calculated for you in the background and you're just kind of there present. You're controlling. You're in the pilot seat. It is flight simulator. Um, your mouse is your hand. You're moving. You could play in VR if you really wanted to. You could really get the full experience. Might throw up after that, but um, it's a strong tool. And I mean, I always use myself as evidence. I'm a very strong player. I go to the big events and I do well. I'm a TTS player. That's been the vast majority of my games. And while I was in Southern California, we really built up a lot of stuff and it's really started to grow. I didn't get as nearly as many games as I'd like, but I just play TTS a lot and I can show up in 4-0 an event. I can do it twice in a month. I can hopefully do it twice again next month. It'd be pretty great. Um, I'm doing it on TTS even, in spots where you don't have the limitation of what you actually own. You can play around with these different combinations. You can make these uber competitive lists without having to buy the models. You can test it out and then buy the models once you know that it's something you like to play. I mean, that's Isengard for me. Is I always liked Isengard as a theme, but I really dialed in on it after I played a lot on TTS and I bought the whole range. I own every single Isengard model except Sharku because I'm never going to buy him. The fact that I have 12 Warg Riders makes me feel dirty. Um, but it really lets you see different armies and experiment, see what you like to play, see what you might want to get in person, and really push you to get those in person. Say, hey, I really like playing this on here. I want to bring it to my in person events that I could get to also. So now you're buying more things and you're doing more hobbying. It feeds into the actual overall game, and it's been so much fun to just play games.
And like, I like this game because I like the game, right? Like, I make no um, I don't really love the hobbying. I don't really love the assembly. It every time I put the start brush stroking, I'm reminded, oh yes, this is a very zen and relaxing activity, and I do enjoy it to that extent. But and after like 20 minutes, I'm always thinking to myself, yeah, but I could be playing the game right now, and like, the TTS allows someone like me who's more into the game side of this game to like really get my fix.
Mhm.
I love watching Squidmar I love seeing the work that the hobbyists have put together, admiring the fact that they put like 600 hours into a model or something. And I think that's really cool. And I love that we encourage that, and that's a big part of what we do. But that's just not what I'm into. And TTS allows someone like me to get the fix.
And we get to
And
use the wonderful paint jobs of Baz as he painstakingly draws them in Blender. He puts together the models and makes and paints them by hand in Blender. Like, it takes longer to do that than a model in person.
it's pure artistry. And like I was he for a while there in December, he was like live streaming as he was doing it, and I was watching him, and it really opened my mind and eyes to the fact that it's just as much artistry as it is, in real life.
Mm-hmm. All
and,
right.
and what like it's made me a way better gamer. Like to build on what you were saying before, I've become a much better at this game. I get a lot more enjoyment out of it. I'm in what it's done is it's sent me into elo hell, where I'm like really good against people who are new at this game and like getting frustrated because I keep getting beat by people who are like way better at this game than me. But I'll get through that, and then
Just gotta
eventually I'll
beat
just
your
be a
head
strong
against the
player
wall.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it
Throw
until
my
you learn how to
dice,
play.
throw my dice and get in trouble,
Exactly. No, you gotta wait till after the event in the parking lot, then you throw your dice.
That's right. That's
Just
right. Yeah.
may not be at somebody. You just gotta be careful there.
Huck them into the snowbanks and just
Yeah.
like
I'll see you in the
somebody
spring. I'll
walking
see you in the
by.
spring.
Yeah, see you in the spring when Wilda runs another event again. Yeah.
That is all the events that we had to talk about. So we had one last thing that we wanted to talk was about the opening for the OSBGL admin that's come up recently, and we have one of our hopefuls here with us.
Yeah, and I appreciate you making some space for that. If you're still here and listening, we've been talking for a while. I do appreciate you sticking around this long. There's two nominees. I'm one of them. My sort of focus with this run is trying to bring the vision of the Ontario Strategy Battle Game League back to its title, the Ontario Strategy Battle Game. Today, there was a somewhat of I think I'd acknowledge it as a somewhat of a heated discussion about the fact that some people are not being allowed to vote because they're in an outer region, have busy schedules, couldn't make it to 4 events, and it's created a bit of a stir, and this is why I ran. I want to remind the people running this show, who are centered in one of our more heavily populated regions around the Toronto area. We're a league of people spread out across a very, very large region. And having said that, I want to acknowledge the fact that the current admin team has been very good about authorizing events out in the region, providing tournament support, staying in touch and being updated. Like that has been a strength of this current admin team. But I think because everyone is so close to where they are, they just don't really understand kind of how difficult it becomes for the rest of us. We are going out of our way, driving hundreds of kilometers to go to events in the GTA while trying to build our own capacity. And I've been frustrated a little bit because I'm trying to get this TTS going and I've been shut down, And so I want to try to get there, be a voice at that table to just let these folks know, listen, we got to keep growing the league. We got to stay connected with the fact that we've got a lot of separate communities, and this cannot just be a GTA focused league, which is kind of what it is right now. And I would like to make sure that it is an Ontario league, and that everyone in Ontario is welcome and feeling like they are being included in everything that we do. It's a big focus. if I don't get the job here, I do think that Jeremy Hildebrand, who's the other nominee, is passionate about the game and wants to build it out. His focus is also he's one of the more hobby oriented folks, where I'm one of the more gaming oriented folks. I think that's a big distinction between us. Um, and I definitely have a stronger focus on sort of the outer regions, I would say, where Jeremy does have his connection with that crowd that has originally built out this league. And I'm hoping that with the conversations we're having with this election, that they will see that there's a bunch of us outside of the Greater Toronto Area who want to participate, who want to be active members, who don't want to be seen as an afterthought to the league. And so that's a big focus of what I'm trying to do here. And I think that that message has been received and has been heard. So I don't want to be too negative. I actually want to show some appreciation for the fact that this conversation has been well received, at least as far as I can tell. And so I hope to see more growth, more expansion, more events, more 40 points. You know, the fact that we had a 40-person event in Lindsay, Ontario, which is actually in the middle of nowhere, right? Like, no shade on anyone, but Lindsay is nowhere, you know? And I say this as someone who's kind of from nowhere. So I'm like really happy that we have these events pop in smaller areas, and I want to keep going.
Well, it's really great to hear your thoughts. I think again, like you said, whoever gets it, I think at least the message has been heard. That hopefully brings the league up to the next level, and connects all those different people. I think there's been a lot of stuff recently that's really pushed for that, and it really I it sounds like it's starting to have an effect. There's more events popping up. There's a whole lot of things on the OSBGL calendar. A lot of different events that are happening all across the place, and more keep popping up. Derek apologized, but he posted like 50 slow grow events. I'm hopefully gonna make it out to some of those. It just depends. It's hard for me on the 80s. If I'm gonna
I
steal the
gotta plug
league.
Derek a bit. I gotta plug Derek a bit. He's one of our most active TOs, and that group out there in the Kitchener Waterloo region is one of the most active. They're very
Mhm,
loyal to their group. Derek has been running Council of the Wise, which was battling to be one of the bigger NA events until recently, and
mhm,
hopefully we can get back up to those numbers.
mhm,
So big shout out to Derek. He just is a huge part of making sure that the Ontario league scene is active.
mhm. And I mean, he has a killer army with Fangorn. It's very well painted, and he's good with them too. He's no slouch with them. For that few models, he still brings a competitive game.
It's funny
Uh,
because I think people who know Derek know that he also loves the Hobbits. So he's kind of swung in the other direction. What he told me was that he's been waiting for Fangorn to be good because his opinion was they weren't that good last edition. So he's never
mhm.
had a reason to play them. And now that they like actually have some kind of a skew play, he's really happy about it.
Yeah. Well, they definitely are feeling the love this edition, just between dominant and I mean Treebeard's on crack with 4 attacks now, so he's pretty nasty to deal with. Um, but
And
it
and Merry and Pippin, I get a kill with them every single game I play them.
I kill them every game I play with them. I'm still mad that flaming brands don't do anything against trees. It's just disappointing. Should be able to light you on fire.
I kind of agree with that. As a Fangorn main, I think that that's very thematic, and that would be funny.
Uh, all right. So I think that's everything we have for today. There's been a lot of stuff. There'll be some more videos in the near future talking about the upcoming events once the lists are coming close. And then, of course, talking about the results and all that. Hopefully, I can keep my streak going. It'd be pretty cool. Thus far, I am technically undefeated in person this year.
We have a
Not
we have a busy
overall, but
calendar. we have a busy calendar of events in Ontario, and I'll make sure that you can make it out to as many as you can. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal the league, so I just gotta win a few hundreds. Won't be that hard.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you anyone that's stuck around this long, listening to us drone on. We will see you all later.